Hello and welcome to a CPD session on scaffolding to support teaching of computer science. Throughout this presentation, I will discuss the theory of scaffolding and look at some methods of how to deliver to support students with their learning and computer science lessons, making the best use of technology. Scaffolding is a teaching technique that involves providing support and guidance to students as they learn new concepts or skills. The term scaffolding was first used in psychology to describe an experimental technique that allowed children to make mistakes without being punished. In education, scaffolding involves breaking down complex tasks into smaller, more manageable steps and providing support and feedback as students work through each step. The goal is to gradually remove the scaffolding as students become more proficient until they are able to complete the task independently. Scaffolding is important for learners in every field, but it's very important for computer science. Computer science involves learning abstract concepts such as algorithms, data structures, programming languages, as well as developing problem-solving skills and logical thinking skills. Scaffolding can help students to systematically build their knowledge base and gain confidence when performing tasks independently. And when you look at studies recently, it shows computer science is the most difficult subject at GCSE and A-level. So it's really proven that these complex skills are proving very difficult to teach in terms of results. So providing scaffolding in lessons will hopefully help boost results, and I'll show you some methods of that later on. Scaffolding is typically associated with the social cultural theory of Vygotsky and adopted by Wood et al. To explain how adults can play a role in joint problem solving with children. Stone suggested that learning first takes place on a social level before it takes place on an individual level. Stone believed a student is not a passive participant in student-teacher interaction, and the scaffolding method will result in both the teacher and student being active participants. The term scaffolding is typically associated with social cultural theory of Vygotsky. And Vygotsky's conception of a zone of proximal development is the distance between the actual development level as determined by independent problem solving and the level of potential development as determined through problem solving under adult guidance or in collaboration with more capable peers. The implication is that scaffolding provided by tutors, parents, teachers and peers will widen the learning potential for a pupil. Three common characteristics have been identified in relation to the term scaffolding: contingency, fading and transfer of responsibility. Contingency is often referred to as responsiveness, tailored, adjusted, differentiated, iterated or calibrated support. This is where the support should be adapted to the pupil's current level or slightly higher. Firstly, the teacher will need to use diagnostic strategies to find out how pupils' current performance and now adapt their support for the individual. The second characteristic is fading, where support is reduced gradually over time. This is wholly dependent on a child's level of competence. The third characteristic is transfer of responsibility. This is achieved by contingent fading, where the performance of a task is gradually transferred to the learner. So essentially you're removing support slowly and more slowly until the student completes it themselves. Macria argues that teachers need to be able to anticipate the needs of their pupils in order to teach effectively. Scaffolding by design is an approach where teachers need to understand the needs of their pupils and use the correct skills and support to boost their performance. Van der Pol researched scaffolding from a contingency perspective. The main objective of the study was to find out whether teachers can learn to scaffold and produce a professional development program to improve scaffolding based on a contingency method with the emphasis on diagnostic strategies. To perform a diagnosis, the teachers would ask questions to check the pupils' understanding of a topic to find out what they already know. Once completed, the actual intervention strategies can be applied through questions, hints or explanations, as well as other strategies if needed. When designing the scaffolding PDP, the study identified numerous factors that may enhance the effectiveness of teachers' instructional scaffolding skills. Firstly, content is important, as teachers need to be the focus of the actual subject matter of the lessons. Secondly, teachers' learning experience need to be taken into account, and this is most successful when we are learner-centred, knowledge-centred, assessment-centred and community-centred. Lastly, in regards to strategies and structures, the following characteristics appear to be effective: immersion, integration with subject knowledge, and practice, collaboration, work with external parties, and the use of different methods. Instructional scaffolding is one other method that can be analysed. Jerome Bruner is one of the original researchers for the term scaffolding. It is when teachers use an assisted-based method to achieve a task, and it is used throughout the learning process until they are able to perform the task on their own. They'll be tailored to each student, creating a student-centred learning environment that results in efficient learning. Again, I'll show you some more methods very soon, how you can differentiate workbooks for students using teams, and how that can support students with different learning abilities, targets, to create a more student-centred learning environment. And again, obviously, this also reduces teacher workload. There are many benefits from using scaffolding. It helps students to understand the learning objectives and expectations of a task. You can do this by modelling and show what they're meant to be learning, show your learning intentions for the lesson. It provides students with a clear structure and sequence of steps to follow. It also reduces cognitive load and frustration by simplifying a task and focusing on the essential elements. And again, you can imagine that relates to computational thinking and computer science. It supports students' motivation, engagement, providing feedback and encouragement. Sometimes by providing support, readily available support, instead of asking a teacher, it can support students who maybe not like asking for help, and they can find support instantly by themselves. It also fosters students' metacognition and self-regulation by prompting them to reflect on their progress and strategies. And obviously, when you have a problem with a lesson, they can actually think for themselves on how to solve the task and how best to continue their learning. It also enables students to apply their learning to new situations and challenges by removing the scaffolding gradually. If you see students suddenly learning much more efficiently, and obviously these strategies they've learned themselves can support their learning when you remove all the assistance you're providing. There are many examples of scaffolding you can use in lessons. For example, providing work examples or models of how to solve a problem to complete a task. You can also use visual aids such as diagrams, flowcharts, pseudocode to illustrate the logic and structure of a program. Basically, just give them a bit of a code to help get them started to complete the task rather than struggling and doing no work. As computer science students, we know, the program is the most difficult part of the subject. Also give hints, clues, prompts to guide students' thinking or direct their attention to key aspects of a task. For example, again, if you're doing a program, you could say, has some selection there, what selection method have you used? And I could refer them back to if statements and elifs. Asking questions, providing feedback, elicits students' reasoning or explanations. If you're finding a problem in a question, you obviously can ask them a question. Obviously, again, if you know students are struggling, you actually go, you're not getting on with, you can't complete the task, and what do you think is happening in this program? What concepts might you need to use? You can also use collaborative learning activities such as pair programming or peer review, allow students to share ideas and learn from each other. And also differentiating the level of difficulty and complexity of a task to ensure students' readiness and needs. Like I said, which I'll show you in a moment, is different difficulty workbooks for programming, so ensure students can complete the task. Because obviously programming is a very difficult task, and also if you have very low ability students, they're going to find certain concepts much more difficult than higher ability students. As I work through this session, we'll start looking at more practical methods you can use in computer science. As I spoke about the theory at the start of the session. So individualized learning. So you can develop resources to support learners on their own learning journey, providing resources for different ability students. For example, like I said before, partly completed workbooks, providing some Python code to some lower ability students, and the higher ability students may not receive any sort of code whatsoever, as they're more expected to complete the task independently. This allows work to be differentiated for students effectively, and by using tools which I'll show you soon in Microsoft Teams, you can set these workbooks. Obviously, again, having workbooks on Teams, it does save money on paper, resources which you can spend elsewhere on other applications like Craig and Dave's Smart Revise, which I'll show you later on. And obviously, they can access these workbooks at home, and obviously the resourcing and all the support can be built into these workbooks. By providing scaffolding support materials, this can help boost students' confidence to learn work more independently. As when they're completing their work, they know where the support is if they need it, or the tailor-made support. It obviously gives them that confidence to think, actually in lesson, I don't need to ask the teacher for help. Okay, some students maybe struggle with emotional needs, just struggle to ask for help. I may sit there in silence and not ask for help and struggle with the task. But having that ready-made support will boost motivation and confidence, with a chance of maybe fading away the support eventually when they get more confident with the task. And obviously, it also helps boost their problem-solving skills. Simple skills like being able to click a link or know where to look for help is obviously boost their learning for the future in terms of A-levels degrees, whereas more learner-centered, where they actually expect to complete tasks without as much assistance from a teacher. One method we use here is students can work collaboratively on projects. One example I use in sixth form lessons, I have students working together as a team to create a presentation. And again, you can tailor make these presentations where some students do more difficult tasks, some do the easier tasks. And when we do this with Cambridge Technical IT, sometimes we get students to complete a task where they work it together on Microsoft PowerPoint with a shared PowerPoint. They work to build a project together. Now, again, this boosts motivation, I believe. Obviously, allows people to collaborate, and obviously, peer learning together is a great method to boost confidence of students and support them. You can also use tools such as Microsoft Forms, which self-mark most questions if a multiple choice, which gauge students' learning. It's quite interesting as you can gain instant feedback from all the students about what they've learned and obviously how you need to support them in the future. There are other tools available such as Craig and Dave's Smart Revise, which supports students for home learning. It's fantastic for setting homework and allows students to self-assess for homework also. And also has a fantastic ability to gauge what students have learned and obviously asking more questions of the things we haven't learned, as it's got a smart algorithm which knows not to keep asking the same questions if we keep getting right and actually giving the questions we get wrong, obviously to boost their learning. It also provides fantastic feedback on what they've learned and how they can improve by providing support to students with homework and any tasks they're completing. Obviously, when you're using digital technologies, it does provide us much more help in supporting students if you haven't got computers available. For example, having links to help in workbooks, online workbooks you may create, custom-made resources shared on Teams, without printing resources out and having hundreds of copies printed off and by the photocopier in the morning resources. You can have these just distributed digitally to each student. Differentiated workbooks, which I'll show you soon, having different workbooks to different students. YouTube videos, visual learners, having videos with voiceovers so students actually can look at the videos to support themselves. That could simply be a recording of a lesson you've done or a recording of a task, talking them through how to do it again if you didn't understand it the first time you discussed it in lesson. And again, it does give students the ability to learn at their own pace. What I've done in computing is I've got a pair of headphones to attach to the back of every computer. So if it comes to a video, students can actually look at the videos. Again, obviously just got to be careful. Students aren't using the videos and for headphones or for purposes and just for learning. Over the next few slides, I'm going to demonstrate some various different practices I've used. So one thing I'm going to show is interactive workbooks, how they work and how they support students. And I'll show you a recording of how you can click on links to find support materials. And also I can make use of YouTube by recording your own videos or linking to other people's videos made on the internet to save you a job. Other things are like help sheet support. Obviously you can have those links embedded into workbooks. Use of Craig and Dave's Smart Revise, how it can track student performance. Microsoft form quizzes and how you can build these quizzes, a short video of how you can create the questions, how it works, how you can distribute them on Teams, and let's have a look. The first thing I'm going to show you is this is an example here of an interactive workbook I've created. Within this workbook, obviously it was quite useful during COVID, and I've kind of continued this, is having a recorded version of a lesson at the top of the page and clicking to access it to YouTube with voiceovers. Again, this is fantastically useful if a student's missing from a lesson. And again, just created a workbook which I could share on Teams. And again, I'll show you a video in a moment where I can show you different examples of the things I've put on these workbooks to support students. Microsoft Teams is a fantastic tool to use to support students. At Aldridge School, we've completely gone digital over the last few years in computing lessons. By Key Stage 3, we provide all our work through Teams. It does have the added ability of helping whole school to get students to learn how to use computers, how to log in. how to use simple skills which we've built into curriculum like copy, paste, shortcut keys, how to send emails. Obviously we don't learn this anywhere else. And again, obviously if you're at the start of your digital transformation journey, it's quite having a key thing built into your curriculum, how to support year 7 students, how to log in and do the basics techniques of how to use a computer, because obviously now as we use smartphones, tablets and other devices, these skills have changed completely with the use of a desktop computer when we were at home as children, and now they're now gone. It's more easy to use tools. My aim is to develop digital skills by doing this and provide you opportunities to support their learning. Again, they can take these skills to other subjects. And again, if we're doing home learning, if, God forbid, if COVID happens again and we're supporting students who already have the ability to use these. And again, by doing this, it does save money on resources by printing endless copies of workbooks out in a resource office. And again, you can actually review their work wherever you are with your laptop and obviously mark it. And again, they can access it at home, which is a fantastic thing. I'm now going to show you a short video I recorded of how to use Teams, very interactive workbook. So here's an example of an interactive workbook I got. So if I just control and click, you can see I was linked to a YouTube video on lesson 1. And again, I'm just scrolling through a recorded lesson. I've turned the sound off. I don't want to listen to my voice again. And again, you can see different things I've linked into the workbook, like help videos. And again, you can see the channel of all the things here to support the learning for a particular lesson, like going step by step how to do the different questions, explaining it to the students. And again, it's a fantastic thing to have readily available. Rather than you stopping the class showing them again, you can say, have you looked at that video? And again, other things I've supported as simple things like how to take a print screen. Excuse me, I have to skip adverts. So again, students again don't know how to do a print screen or forget. And again, just having a simple video reminding them how to do this does take the strain off a teacher showing these things again and again. Again, other things I've got linked into here is how to complete the task. So again, another video again showing you how to complete the task for a sleep calculator and how to do the task. And again, scrolling a bit further down, I've got a link to a website here where if I click on this one, it shows you what the arithmetic operator can do their own research rather than discussing it. They can read through it and complete the task. And again, this all helps build the students learning independent skills. Okay. I've always found YouTube to be a fantastic tool to support learners. Again, like I showed you, built into the workbook, which I explained, is you can have these YouTube links embedded into your workbooks. So when a student struggles with a task, they can click the video, listen to you to talk again about the task and explain how to do the task. Again, that does take the strain of teachers. For example, if you had 5 or 6 students who don't understand, you can say, if you looked at the video. And again, if you can understand the video and you complete the task, fantastic. And again, it really does let you focus on the students that really do struggle and don't understand videos, worksheets, and focus on those. Most students just maybe didn't listen, didn't get the help the first time around. Just having that support built in, I think, does reduce teacher workload and the strain. And again, we got the ability of using Sensor at school where you can track students, what they're doing on the computers from the front. Also reduce the need to constantly walk around and check. Obviously reducing stress, again, if you can't walk around as much. And again, just looking at what people are doing all the time does support you in your learning and the students' learning. And I do find it helps boost their independent skills eventually when you know where things are, when we've embedded these skills in year 7. When you get to year 8, you'll kind of understand the process and how they can find their own support and how to boost their own learning, which is a fantastic skill for later life. Creating a bank of resources is fantastic. Again, you don't have to build them in workbooks, you can set these as homework or other things. I do think having these things recorded, and again, you don't have to do them all yourself. You can, obviously in my department, some of us staff did like year 7 videos, some year 8, some year 9. Obviously you can actually link yourself to videos from other schools or other videos made from other educational companies. Again, we do provide fantastic support for students. Again, students love YouTube, they watch it all the time, and seeing something they're familiar with does help boost their confidence. Having differentiated workbooks is very useful when teaching programming. For example, hard workbooks will have no help provided. This really pushes for higher ability students, for higher attainers you've got in your lesson to boost their skills and push their limits to obviously program. I've got some people in my class who are fantastic at programming and don't need any assistance, and they love programming, they do it at home, and again it does really boost them by providing no support to the students. And then you have like a medium ability workbook, offers some support, might just be a link to a video providing help talking about a similar task. And then you've got really low ability students. I do have some where I've got 2 and 3 targets computer science in year 11. Having these videos where I might say fill in the blanks, get them to think, provide them some sort of starting point for the lesson, will help boost their learning. Again, sometimes I find, I'm not sure how other teachers around the trust, is the students when they really struggle with programming, they kind of switch off. We've got students in the past when you get to an exam question not answering any questions when it comes to programming. And again, just learning the basics, like saying, for example, how do you ask for an input, how do you declare a variable, how to produce an output, will at least give them some marks and support. And again, hopefully by having these videos, which I'm trialing at the moment, will boost their skills. And it's something, like I said, I've brought in this year, having differentiated program workbooks and boost their skills is one of the weaknesses we've had, or students did not do very well at programming. Also, by providing help sheet, it doesn't always have to be videos. You can use other methods such as providing help sheets. Some students may not be more visual, like to read things, and again, by providing help sheets also, which you can have a link in your workbooks, or you can print them out, up to you how you want to do it in terms of budget constraints. Again, but obviously having digital resources generally are free. You've got teams, you've got the tools, sharing links, building them into your workbooks by doing some fantastic planning, by all these support materials created in advance of your lessons, preempting students not being able to understand the subject, and obviously tailor making your workbooks for students does provide a lot of help, and obviously provides less strain for staff trying to support students with their learning journeys. Again, this is just an example here of hints and tips of how to declare a variable and how to start an if statement. Okay, and again, that might be like a shoe size one, could be about like an exam grade question on how to, I don't know, create a program on what percent you need to get for a 9, what percent you need to get for an 8. And by just doing something similar with a shoe size, you can transfer the skills across to this new material and hopefully boost their learning. Craig and Dave SmartWrite is another fantastic tool to use. This can be set up so students can mark their own questions, and again, it does offer students the ability to mark their own. You can, like for example, I've used it for marking homework. Instead of it being setting tons and tons of homework on there for the teacher to mark, they can actually read the homework themselves, check the homework, and also by reviewing the homework, they actually, and if they get a question wrong, it does provide them an instant video support, written response, and how to do that question better in the future. And again, obviously, offers the ability when a student gets something wrong, they can actually review their answers very quickly and get instant feedback on their question they've done incorrectly. And again, you can review this in many ways. Obviously, you can do homework. Again, sometimes I say to students, it's sometimes a good bit for an end of a lesson. They can go through some quick fire questions themselves, multiple choice, written responses, and just give fantastic responses. And it's a very well built system for supporting learners at home. So here's an example of what I was talking about. So for example, if I got the question, what is the cloud wrong? Okay. It does provide some advice of explaining it. Also provides a link to the Craig and Dave YouTube videos. Also provides some examples to the Paul Long books if you've got access to that. And again, it does provide some fantastic responses and supporting learners with their journey at home. So in terms of analytics, when you set homework here, you can set tasks like this. This was something I used from last year. And obviously you can review sort of marks, gauge how well the learning journey is going to get an average. I've removed the names for data protection. And again, it's quite a fancy way of recording your homeworks and getting instant feedback. And again, like I said, if you get students to self-mark the work, it's even better than the teacher marking the work, because then they get to assess and understand where they've gone wrong. Rather than giving them a score, you got this wrong, it gives them instant feedback and instant reflection on what they've done in a lesson. So it's like tailor-made support for each student. Another great tool we have disposable since the digital transformation is Microsoft form quizzes. Obviously, we all became experts of Google quizzes. So again, if you use Microsoft Forms, you can create a quiz, use multiple choice and other versions of questions, and they're quite easy to set up and distribute on Teams as a way of assessing students' progress. The next slide, I'll show you a short video of how you can set these quizzes up and distribute them to students. And again, like Crane Dave, you get detailed analytics. For example, if you've got a question, for example here, from one lesson, what does the acronym RAM stand for? And you can see quite a lot of people got the question wrong. You might think, maybe I need to reteach that lesson. Maybe the students didn't learn that topic. So it gives a chance for the teacher to reflect on what students learn, because you can actually see where most students got the questions wrong in certain concepts. For example, if everyone got the question right, you don't teach it again. If a lot of people got it wrong, you might think, actually, I might need to recover that subject again. And obviously, it's great to get that data without collecting a multiple choice quiz in by hand, and reading them all, marking them all, and actually collecting who got it wrong. It takes a lot longer to analyse the data, so this is quite a useful tool to have. So in this next video, I'm going to show you how to create a new quiz in Microsoft Forms. So just click New Quiz, and again, it's quite easy. Just give yourself a title at the top here. I'm just going to put year end of unit quiz. You don't need to worry about description. If you click add new, it does give you plenty of options. I'm just going to pick a multiple choice first. So I'm going to write, what does CPU stand for, like one of the previous quizzes I showed you. And again, you can add your options here. So I'm going to put the correct answer as number 2 option there, central processing unit. I'm going to write a few more. Obviously, I'm going to check my spelling. It's quite a useful thing to have. And I'm going to write a few incorrect answers here as well also. So computer processing unit. And again, it's got a good tool, you can auto-correct your spelling. And another option coming up here. Central programming unit. And again, just make sure you tick the tick to indicate which one's the correct answer. It's quite easy to forget that. And also indicate how many points it's worth. There's a question, so you got a point or you won't get any score from it. And again, if you click required, make sure the students will answer the question. Again, you can add other questions, for example, text-based questions again. Obviously, you've got to aware if it's a text-based answer, you've got to actually read it and mark it. For multiple choice, will auto-mark themselves. So please explain. So it's explain the dangers that the AI could have on society. So again, this could be more of a written response with 4 marks. And again, you can get the students to write the answer again. That will involve you reviewing answers. When we did our end of year assessments for year 7, we did have some written responses where we had to read through and analyse the answers this way. And again, and another sort of question, you can have like a ranking, where you drag things in the correct order. So another example of the question I'm going to show you here is list the storage sizes in the correct order for, I'm going to auto-correct that. So list the computing measurements, sizes, and again it can correct yourself in the correct order. So I'm just going to put a few examples of measurements from smallest to largest. So again, here, obviously, you've got to write them in the correct order here, or jumble them up for you. Bit, nibble, byte, and again, you can add numerous more options here. So I'm going to put kilobyte, so just not going to do all of them, just show an example here. And again, you can see there's other options you can pick here, like ratings. You can upload files to share, or pictures, other things you can show them to review. You could be like upload a reading from, I don't know, for another subject, like read this article, what do you think? So you can actually upload that sort of material there also, which is fantastic. And again, if you want to collect responses, you can copy the link. What I do usually is I set it as, obviously you can do it anyone from anywhere else, so copy the link and I go to Teams. And then I just post the link on Teams. I'll show you in a moment. We can do invitation, we can do it through email, QR code. I just generally set it as an assignment. So copy the link. I'm going to go to my online Teams. My desktop one's playing up. So I'm just going to go to a random class I'm going to pick. So I'm going to pick a year 7 group, pick this, and if I go to more assignments, create an assignment, you can create quizzes directly within them, or if you haven't already created it, I'm just going to call it quiz. Just an example, I'm going to attach and just put the link in there. Just copy the link in, and then attach, and then you can obviously set a deadline, all these things, and post it to the students who complete the quiz, and then you get instant feedback, instant marking from the class. So in conclusion, it's important to understand the term scaffolding. It is a vastly broad term understood to be interpreted in many different ways. Despite the difficulties in measuring scaffolding due to its dynamic nature, the effectiveness of studies show that it clearly has a positive impact in the classroom. It is observed that scaffolding either directly or indirectly has some positive impact in the classroom, and the theory behind it provides some clear common sense strategies that could improve the performance of lower ability students within the school and even stretch higher ability. It is important for a school to have a clear leadership when implementing a plan and have created a CPD that builds towards a shared vision for the school improvement. It is also important that the school provides a long-term strategy for improving school performance. The school invests into staff to improve the teaching and learning. This will improve the motivation of the staff and reflecting the quality of teaching and lessons. Again, by having, as computing teachers, by having these abilities to use technology and since you had a digital transformation and actually sharing links, YouTube clips, digital workbooks, getting students more interactive with computers, whole school. For example, if a student doesn't pick IT after Key Stage 3, they may not use computer again. So providing these skills in Key Stage 3 is vitally important. They can use these tools to support their learning. Again, and by having YouTube links, it reduces teacher workload and improves student independence in lesson. If you'd like to read more about some of the scaffolding theories, there's some links to the books here in terms of what I've read to provide the CPD. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for picking this session. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned some techniques that could support your learning in computer science or elsewhere. And obviously having digital workbooks and all these things can reduce your workload, and working as a team, as a department, and embedding these sort of techniques into your lessons is very beneficial for all. Thank you for listening and enjoy the rest of your night.